Present.
Present.
Here.
Present.
The adoption of the agenda, can I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So move.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Sorry, maybe I wasn't close enough. Hello. Is that good? I think I just wasn't close enough. All right, so we've already had roll call. We've already adopted the agenda. Next, I will ask if there are any public comments that are not on tonight's agenda. If so, we will hear those now. Okay, I'm getting the no, there are not. And we also have consent calendar. So does anyone wish to remove anything or adopt or adjust or amend anything from the consent calendar? Otherwise, may I have a motion to adopt the consent calendar?
I move that we adopt the consent calendar.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carries 5-0. We do have continued public hearings, so I will turn over to staff to present the project. Thank you.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Commission. Tonight I will be presenting this hillside development permit and variance for a property at 1280 Panorama Drive. The reason why it was listed as a continuance is that it was scheduled for the September 2nd meeting, but per the request of the applicant to revise some of the drawings, it was continued to tonight. So before I get into the project itself, I want to reiterate what was in the staff report and reiterate to everyone here the scope that the Planning Commission will be considering tonight, and that is for the hillside development permit, the exception to development within the Class 2 ridgeline setback, the exception to development within the 15-degree ridgeline declination, and also a variance permit to reduce the required front setback. Staff has added a condition of approval to have the DRC, the Design Review Commission, consider the design review permit and grading permit. As part of that review, the Design Review Commission would consider the design-related elements and landscaping, so massing, design, architectural treatment, landscaping, as I had mentioned. And that would be considered after Planning Commission action at a later date to be determined. For some context of the site, this property is located in the northern portion of Lafayette, north of Happy Valley Road. It is an approximately 1.57 acre parcel that falls right on a Class 2 ridgeline. So kind of looking, it's not clear in this image, but the topography of the site is steeply sloping to the east downhill and to the west across Panorama downhill. Looking at the existing conditions, there is an existing single-story residence that is kind of elevated off of Panorama Drive, which is in the images what we are looking up from. Kind of vaguely in the images, you can see the story poles, which outline the proposed, the proposal, which I will go into. The proposal is to do a almost demolish, leave some of the existing walls, and do a second story with some moderate additions to the first story. And so the story poles, if you visited the site and go by, kind of help visualize the proposed scale and mass. So kind of more specifically going into the proposal, the addition areas would take it from a 3,000 approximately square foot single story home to a 4,469 square foot two-story residence. Majority of the new square footage of the area would be in the second story additions. As I had mentioned earlier, all of this property is within a Class 2 ridge line. And so kind of in looking at what is on screen and highlighted in yellow is the the proposed variance. So as outlined in the staff report, and I will reiterate it here, in 1971, when the property was built, a 15-foot front yard setback was granted for the building of the home. In 1974, a 10-foot front yard setback was granted for the existing covered patio. And so the applicant has measured setbacks to that 15-foot and that 10-foot point. Per code, setbacks for this property are measured from the right-of-way easement or access easement. So although we see a property line, the setbacks are actually measured from the edge of the access easement. So what is highlighted in yellow is that area of the covered patio that would encroach into the 10-foot setback. So as existing, it's 10 foot. With the proposal, that setback would be reduced to 4 feet, 10 inches. As part of this application request, there is an exception to build within or above the 15-degree hillside declination. So what that is a 15-degree from the ridge line. So that is shown in green dashed on the screen. And the proposed residence, as it is cited, would sit above that dashed line. So when considering exceptions to build within the declination, we're looking at development located away as much as possible from public vantage points, heavily used streets, and points of interest. The proposal as it's cited is in approximately the same location as existing, but again, with an increase in height with the second story additions and the expansion of the first story in an already flat area of the lot. Staff is able to make the findings to recommend approval of the development above the 15-degree declination. The next 2 slides, I'll be highlighting kind of the proposal as it relates to the scope that staff is asking the Planning Commission to consider tonight, which is the hillside development permit and variance. So this is the front elevation, so the west elevation. So if you were on Panorama Drive, this is what you would see. We can see the second story additions and also a kind of clear glass covered porch that would be the portion that is encroaching. This elevation is not adjacent to any close neighbors and is relatively stepped back from the roadway. The elevation shown on screen is to the north, and so to the north of the property is where the neighbors at 1290 Panorama are, and they are probably the closest residents to the proposed building. So kind of wanted to demonstrate as part of the findings for a hillside development permit, minimizing privacy impacts. And so with this elevation, those 2 windows to the right on the screen are to a bathroom and a storage area. And then the windows to the left above the sliding glass doors are clerestory. So there is no kind of habitable living space in that area. These are the proposed renderings that show what the proposal would look like. Again, staff has added a condition of approval to have the DRC, Design Review Commission, act on the design review permit and grading permit. And again, as part of their review, they would address kind of the design-related considerations, such as building envelope, massing, scale, architectural detailing, and landscaping. The project was referred to our outside referral agencies, and the main comments that we initially received were from the city engineer and East Bay Municipal Utility District, EB Mud, that questioned there were some structures that were proposed within the right-of-way and an East Bay Mud easement. And so after kind of consultation with them, the applicant team removed all those structures from the right-of-way in the easement, which satisfied those comments. And so this was seen through a revised plan set that was submitted. So staff asked the city engineer, EB Mud, and the Fire Protection District to re-review those revised plans, and their comments were satisfied. But regardless, staff added a project-specific condition for EB Mud to review the proposal and approve it just to ensure that their easement has nothing encroaching in it and they are satisfied with the development. The project was noticed in area posted with notices 10 days prior to the September 2nd hearing. Again, the item was continued to this date today. But as it was continued, the planning commission agendas were updated with this continuance. After September 2nd, we did receive one letter from the neighbors at 1290 Panorama Drive, and they sought to kind of further understand the scope that was being considered. Staff and that neighbor were not able to find a time to meet in person to discuss the proposals, but there was open lines of communication between both. And as always, staff is always readily available for anyone to discuss the development and any proposal going before the commission. So staff recommends that the Planning Commission find the project exempt from CEQA and adopt Planning Commission Resolution 2025-09, approving the project subject to the conditions listed in the resolution and the staff report. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone have any clarifying questions for the applicant? Vice Chair.
I just want to check, did you actually meet with the neighbors? I wasn't clear from the description.
No, didn't physically meet with the neighbor.
No, not physically, but I mean, like, were they essentially able to satisfy their, because it seemed like from their letter, they were just like, oh, we want more info. Were you able to like email them everything and?
Yeah, we email corresponded, but there was not enough conversation to ensure that their concerns or issues were satisfied.
Are they here tonight?
Constantine? Yes. so
Okay,
they're
well,
here.
all right, excellent.
Mhm.
Any other clarifying? All right, if the applicant would like to present, please, now's your time. Come on up, tell us who you are and.
Good evening, commissioners and city staff. My name is William Liu, project applicant and architect on 1280 Panorama Drive. I don't have a presentation per se, but I like to just talk a little bit about how their current homeowners, An Nguyen and Vin Shun, engaged with my services. We had started the project approximately August of last year and had gone through quite extensive design iterations. And what we wanted to do was keep the footprint of the existing house largely intact because there are a lot of architectural characteristics that were nice, but it just needed to be modernized and accentuated. And so that's what I've done. So there's a slight increase in the square footage as well, only because they wanted to add an art studio that was quite substantial at under 1,000 square feet. And a large garage that would include 4-car stackers.
Okay, great. No,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
just
I-
wanted to make sure I didn't.
Like I said, just a brief presentation, so.
No, I appreciate it. Let me see if anyone has any questions. So just hold on a second. Anyone have any clarifying questions for the applicant?
Thank you. I was curious about the garage because, and obviously I didn't spend as much time with the plans as you have, but so now when someone drives into the garage, they have the ability to stack the cars with a stacking mechanism, right? Correct. Okay, and then above that is the art studio and everything. Correct. Okay, And so that's why I'm proposing to excavate. yeah, right, and that's what I thought. And but thank you. That's
Mhm.
very interesting. Thanks.
Commissioner Mason?
How old, what's the date of construction or how old is the original house?
It's I believe from 1971.
Okay. How is, or what is your approach to the foundation in that, 71 is not much of a foundation and you're adding a second story? Are you,
Right. So most of the structure will be demolished.
okay,
The existing foundation will be retrofitted. Currently, it's not a slab on grade,
Mhm.
and we would like to change it to a slab on grade.
Okay.
So that would mean retrofitting the existing stem walls and then
Okay.
infilling it and then doing a slab on grade.
So you have somebody specifically looking to address the foundation?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, we have retained a structural engineer.
Okay. That's all I wanted to know. Thank you.
Any other clarifying questions? All right, thank you very much.
Mhm.
You
Thank
go
you.
ahead and go on back, thank you. All right, we will now open this up for public comments. Do we have any, but if there's anyone here who wants to do a public comment, just if staff knows you, otherwise there's a comment card for you to fill out. Did you fill out it? It's all right. Come on up. You're, I'm assuming yeah, come on up and introduce who you are. Hi. And I think you might need to push the button for the green light to go on.
Yes. Hi, I'm Constantine Kapkalis, and I live at the adjacent property 1290, which is really the only property that's being impacted by this. And first wanted to say welcome Ann and Vin to the neighborhood and look forward to them coming. I just had a couple of questions. First of all, I'm not as prepared as I wanted to be. I just flew in 2 hours before the meeting and didn't have time to get my notes. But I was wondering, so the story poles that are there are not the existing property perimeter?
Here, just go ahead and address your questions and then we'll
sorry.
make sure to just process.
apologize.
Oh, it's all right. It's all right. Just process.
I was wondering, I think I've been told that the story poles that are in place are not the existing perimeter of the structure. So I wanted to clarify that.
Okay. And if you have other questions, go ahead. Let's do them all
Okay.
and then we'll,
And then I'm trying to clarify how much the setback is from the property line on what would be the garage side and the two-story addition to the property.
Mhm.
And also how far past the normal setback is going to encroach on the front.
okay. And
And so, I mean, it'd be a lot easier if we had had a little model to look at.
yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with you. I mean, if the application that's online has, with the exception of the story poll questions, all the rest of it is part of the application. There's a, you know, engineered site plans, at least in terms of layout and other, you know, arborists and other aspects of it. Does anyone, I don't feel, I would ask staff if you could help us with the story polls, give like a little guidance on that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So the story poles, as you see them on the site currently, show the proposed footprint and the kind of the top of the building second story. So not the existing, but it shows the proposed condition.
Okay.
And then,
So,
you know, what was
yeah,
your,
I'm here on behalf of myself, my wife, and my mother-in-law. And we purchased the 1290 property from my mother-in-law, and she's staying with us still. But I guess our concern is that that second story that's going to be constructed is going to be so close to our property line. I mean, it almost doesn't fit the character of the neighborhood. Everybody else's homes are pretty well set back or not encroaching on the street itself. And so I was wondering, I mean, there's so much land to the other side of the building. I don't understand why that's not usable.
so the applicant will have an opportunity after all public comments to address, so
Right.
I'll let them address that. I can't say why they designed it anyway, but so they'll address that, okay, if they so choose.
May I follow up on that? In the rebuttal period, when he gets to talk again, if you could describe, my recollection is there's redwood trees on that side of the house, on the garage side. And can you describe if those will cover the windows that are going to be installed.
Okay.
And then I will advise you on this as well. We do get this from time to time that maybe neighbors or future neighbors haven't quite met till this kind of point in the process. By all means, meet them afterwards if you don't get the choice. And I don't know who's who except who it came up. But things like this, you know, we will do what's required of the planning commission, and design review will go through the design review criteria and the grading plan. But you know, neighbor to neighbor, it's sometimes better for neighbor to just talk, because I've found in the 5 years I've been up here that a lot of times your concern is probably something that easily can be addressed, that doesn't require us to get involved, which is the best way for it to happen. But I'm glad you came here tonight, and I'm glad you had the opportunity to speak. So is there anything else that we can answer for you? Otherwise, we'll let during the rebuttal.
No,
period.
because I think you have your regulations and it's compliant with your regulations or variances. I think we're talking about what you just addressed is neighbor to neighbor
Yeah,
and aesthetics.
right. And the aesthetics will be at the design review in the future to be determined. So I recommend that you know, familiarize yourself with the package that gets submitted. And hopefully by then you'll have a communications going. And for us, we have to make findings based on the staff report and what's required. And so up here, it's our charge to go through all those findings and make sure, if, like, say, your point on the variance, that we agree that the variance is something that we can support based on the findings that individually we have to make or decide we don't make. So, okay.
All right. Thank you.
Any other questions okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate you coming up. All right. Any other public comments? All right. Nothing online. No. Okay. So we'll close the public comment period. And then I would ask the applicant to come up, and I would also advise you guys to introduce yourselves afterwards. But if you could address any of the concerns that were brought up, I think that'd be helpful.
Yeah, so regarding the setback, there's a 20-foot setback from the property line to the garage wall slash the edge of the art studio as well. And I understand the bulk of the structure is over the garage, which I believe from my notes, it's approximately 20 feet, 3 inches high from grade. And there are transom windows in the art studio, so there's a lot of privacy. The homeowners will not be able to look down onto the neighboring property.
Okay. And I appreciate that. I would advise you guys afterwards to talk, because sometimes that, you know, if you're not an architect engineer, you talk about this regularly, that doesn't make a lot of sense. And I know, because sometimes I don't even know what you're saying, and I'm in this world and I'm an engineer, but so just if you guys can, I think that would help.
Sure.
So any other clarifying questions?
Just to clarify, 20 feet, the property line is center of the street, or is the property line at the edge of the street?
Well, I was referring to the side.
Okay, the neighbor.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And what's the foliage between you and?
Currently, it's redwood trees.
Okay, so it's good screening. in other
Yeah,
words.
good screening.
Thank you.
Great. Anything else? All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. So that's the applicant's time. So then I'll bring it back to the planning commission for discussion. Anyone?
I'll start.
Please.
One thing I think is really important, thank you, Chair, to reiterate what you just said, is that in case it was missed, it sounded like the response to public comment were just clarified in the applicant's rebuttal. So again, encouraging the applicant and the neighbor to speak after, because I think the answers that the commenter was asking, the questions he was asking were addressed. I've reviewed everything. I visited the site. I do think, yes, it's taller than what, is existing. I am able to make all of the findings that are required of us tonight. I do appreciate the effort that the applicant has put in to revise per the East Bay Med comments. And again, just really encourage the applicant and the neighbor at 1290 to be in communication.
Anyone else? Commissioner Mason?
Yeah, yes, thank you. I also can make the findings. I'm an engineer myself, and explaining complex things to somebody who doesn't have the same background as you can be difficult. So, and a lot of times I've found that I get asked a question, I answer a related but different question, and both sides end up being frustrated. So, take the time, listen to each other. 'Cause at the end of the day, they're going to be neighbors. There's not that much up there, and much better to have good neighbors than hostile neighbors. But thank you very much for your presentation.
Anyone else? All right. I'll just say I too can make the findings. I do think it's important when we make the findings to, and in the package, it talks about that, whether something would be a special privilege, like somebody could ask for something that's, way off the fairway. And if for some reason we did that without any precedence or any reason behind it, that would look funny. It would say, why are you doing that? So we try really hard to make sure and to just be open that this is not a special privilege. This is what other people are getting the benefit of. It doesn't mean that everybody agrees, but that's what we do, and that's what each one of us individually has to do. So I'm prepared to do that. So at this point, unless there's anything else, if someone could propose a motion, I'm ready to move forward. Or can I get a motion?
I'll make the motion. It's fine.
Thank you.
I move that we adopt the staff report recommendations and find the project exempt from CEQA, adopting PC Resolution 2025-09, approving the project subject to conditions.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries 5-0. All right. You all are welcome to stay. We're going to go on to the rest of the meeting. So thank you for those who are here. With that, what do we have next? Other business? Hold on. Let me just make sure. No new business, other business. ARC volunteer, do we still need someone? For Halloween, do they have to dress up?
Yes and yes.
All right.
But since it's Zoom, I think you could just turn on a filter.
Yeah, I can do it.
All right.
It's not 9:30 for a second. I thought I was like, oh no, Halloween. But yeah, 9:30. I can do that easy.
And sir, just because they just stepped out, I want to make sure you get a chance to talk to them. Okay. Okay, we're done with all that business. Okay, just wanted to, okay. We've still got a few, yeah. All right.
Mention that there's an appeal period.
Yeah, is there an appeal period? Is there an appeal period for what we just,
Yes,
14 day?
14 days.
Okay.
It can be appealed.
There is a 14-day appeal period. I'm saying that to the whole room. So just be aware of that. All right, commissioners' reports.
We don't have a volunteer phone.
Yeah, we do.
Oh.
Thank you. No commissioners report, planning director's report.
Just a reminder that we do have an ADU accelerator program, which is ongoing. For about 2 years now, we have reduced impact fees, city impact fees by 50%, and that will persist through next year. As well, I think you can unlock up to $15,000 per ADU accessory dwelling unit through a one-time grant from the state through Senator Glazer's office. And I think we have 1 or 2 other programs which are ongoing. So please visit lovelafayette.org/ADU, and they will be, you can see all of the accelerator programs which are currently running. There's a subcommittee of design review commissioners working with the consultant Lisa Wise Consulting on phase 2 of the objective standards. So that's ongoing in the background in a series of weeks / a couple months. We'll be bringing that forward to the Planning Commission and full Design Review Commission as well. And then you may have heard out there that ABAG, MTC, the Metropolitan Transportation Commission, has adopted Plan Bay Area 2050. And as a means of implementing that vision, one of the components is to reduce greenhouse gases. The MTC board has adopted the TOC, which is transit-oriented communities. And so that is as a policy is well known. I think in short, it is about put more things near transit, increase density around transit, allow more walkability, try to increase station access, and you'll reduce vehicle trips and increase ridership. And so that is being promulgated in the form of TOC compliance implementation. And we have every jurisdiction in the Bay Area is going through trying to understand what those rules are, the rubric, the metrics, and there is a continued response. When is this going to affect? It'll be early next year sometime, where we will have to demonstrate compliance. The MTC board will have a retreat this week to discuss TOC and implementation. Some of the feedback they have received is that it's yet another level of regulatory framework, which doesn't necessarily conflict with, but doesn't necessarily align with cities' adopted housing elements, SB 79, and a host of other things which are ongoing. So it further complicates things in a lot of ways. And so other feedback has included, rather than making these very lofty goals and having a floor area ratio for commercial of 4, which is like a 65-foot height limit, making it about compulsory in order to have access to OBAG grant fundings, One Bay Area grant funds, which the city has received about $4 million over the last 4 or 5 years.
Wow.
To make it more incentive-based rather than more carrot, less stick. And so we will continue to lean in and monitor and try to understand to the best of our ability, and we'll bring that forward to the Planning Commission and City Council at the appropriate time when we have some more definitive answers. Oh, questions.
How does that, or does it affect downtown or within the half hour lighting? Because, late at night, that can be a component of walkability. If you're coming back from Barton Lake.
Correct. You couldn't agree more. In the hundreds of pages of materials, I have not seen the word lighting yet, but I will take that back and plug it in and see if there's anything around that. I don't believe it gets that granular, but that's a great note. Thank you.
Because that can affect how we look at a project.
Agreed.
Thank you.
It's more the stick right now.
And I'll just note, lighting is part of SEPTED and safety all around. You can have adequate or substantial lumens, but how they are delivered and the orientation of the fixture and the exposure of the fixture, rather than lighting surfaces, it is outward, like a gulag. So the design matters, not just the illumination level, the foot candles.
So 2050 has been out for a while, right? So this is finally looking into detail of one of the programs within 2050, or what's that connection?
I'll say it's the manifestation of Plan Bay Area 2050 as it meets grant funding, OBAG
Oh,
grant
okay,
funding.
that's what it is.
So
Yeah.
in order to have access to certain pots of money,
Makes sense.
you need to demonstrate compliance with TOC.
Thank you. If nothing else, I think we're adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.